Let me welcome our guest in. I'm super excited to be joined by our guest, Royce Lewis, first overall pick by the Minnesota Twins. He unfortunately is out for the year, but what a story, and I'm excited to be joined now by Royce Lewis. Royce, what is up, man? Thanks for joining me on Flippin Bats.
What's going on? I appreciate
man.
it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Of course, man. Happy to have you. So one thing I like to ask everybody, because baseball is very unique in the fact that everyone goes through the minor leagues, no matter whether you're first overall pick like yourself or the last pick in the draft. Everybody goes through the minor league experience. What would you say is one thing you've learned so far or picked up that you will take with you throughout your entire career in the minor leagues?
Yeah, I think just leaning on my teammates and learning from all those coaches. I think that was the best part about the game, is that I get to, be a part of that team aspect and have a great time playing the game and learning from some of the game's best, man. It's always truly amazing.
One thing that I find so unique is that it's so different, the disparity in the minor leagues. You have some guys earning huge paychecks that have gotten paid and some guys that have not, to say the least. Would you say a lot of guys come to you like asking you to pay for stuff? Like, Joe, do you get joked around with a lot? Like, dude, come on, pay for this.
No, not too much anymore. I used to. My first year when I got drafted, it was, hey, we're going to dinner. Royce, you buying, right? I was like, no, it's like all that money's invested, man. I don't think you realize I'm living on the same checks you guys are. So it's one of those things where it's like it took a little bit of time for people to get used to me and joke around and mess around. But at the end of the day, it's just messing around, hanging out with the boys, and they're just giving you crap for it.
Smart, man. Smart. All that money's gone. That's invested. That shit's gone. You're worrying about the future. So what would you say? Do you get like hazed a lot? So I know now you're around the big league guys a little more, and being the first overall pick obviously comes with some hazing. Is there anybody that picks on you at all in big league camp?
No, not too much, man. I'm blessed. We got some really good veteran guys and a great young core as well that's already up there and dominating. And it's just, like I said, it's just fun to pick their brains and learn from them. But no hazing going on, man. Just a lot of swinging and a lot of homers up there.
That's good, man. You got to make sure you stay on their good side, because I remember I was in 1 year in spring training, and obviously my brother's on the big league side and I'm on the minor league side. But every once in a while, I would sneak over to the big league side to eat, because the food in the minor league cafeteria isn't the same. So and I know all those guys, so I'm like, you know what? I'll just sneak over there. I'll get some of the big league food. Apparently, I found out my brother came home that night and goes, "Were you eating in the big league locker room?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Well, you're lucky you had somebody come and vouch for you and say," I actually believe it was Mr. Al Kaline came and said he asked me to come over. But my brother said the guys on the team found out in their morning meetings. They all got together and said, "Dude, Ben's eating in our locker room. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put a locker smack dab in the middle of the entire locker room and bring out a table and make him eat his meal right in the middle of us while we're all just like giving him shit and throwing stuff at him." Thankfully, that didn't happen, but I learned my lesson quickly to always eat on the minor league side where I'm supposed to be eating.
That's right. That's hilarious, man. I'm sorry about that.
So you were a first overall pick, which can come with a lot of pressure. Is there anybody you reach out to? I know Buxton was a second overall pick. Is there anybody you kind of lean on to gain some experience from them?
Yeah, just my agency, my family, and then some of my friends. It's just keeping that circle close and small. They do and mean a lot to me. It's just almost everything. Whether I call my mom and dad each and every day and they help me, or sometimes I'll just call my agency and Scott Boras and just talk to him, because he's had multiple clients that have been number one overall picks, and how did they react to things? How did they go about this? How did they go about that? And so just learning the ins and outs of the game and trying to be professional all throughout.
Yeah, I would say Boris has some experience with some guys that are top picks, that's for sure. But it's got to be nice to have somebody like that to lean on, to have the Boris agency They have had a lot of top guys, so that's a great point. I would have thought maybe there's a player, but your agency has had more experience with first overall players than one guy can have, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even last year we got Torkelson. I know Bryce Harper is probably one of the biggest ones they've had. So they've had quite a few over the years, and not even just being one, just in the top picks, like you mentioned, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. It all comes with some pressure here and there, and just learning how to, diverse your way through that, get through that, always helps.
Who in the organization has had the biggest impact on you so far?
Man, that's a great question. There's a lot of coaches, a lot of teammates, a lot of players. I think I can pick from each kind of standpoint. I think from a base running standpoint and a fielding standpoint, I'd say Sammy Palazzo. Sam Palazzo is I just call him Sammy, man. He's my man. And so he obviously is not with the Twins anymore, but when he was, he made the biggest impact on my defense. I'd say Buxton helped in center field too as well when I was going down to the fall league. But I guess the very main person would be Torii Hunter. He got me to move out to Texas. He's really mentored me and been like a second father to me. So Tori's been the number one in an all-exclusive standpoint.
That's awesome, man. So I actually got to know Torii pretty well from his days in the Tigers organization. And he really helped me a lot in the outfield, just being able to pick a guy's brain like that. And to be so close to him, I know, you're an Orange County native, and your dad was able to create a relationship with him. So to have that with a guy, it's easy to forget, like, that's Torii Hunter. Like, he's one of the greatest defensive outfielders of all time. To be able to have him as like a mentor has to be incredible. Like, that's so cool to me. It's Torii Hunter.
Yeah, you're telling me. I mean, these are guys that I idolized when I was growing up, and I used to wear 48. I still got 48 in some of my passwords. So it's, he definitely was one of my idols for baseball. And I mean, I couldn't tell you how much it means to me that we built this relationship, and I'm able to learn so much that I am off of him and his family.
Is there a piece of outfield advice that he's given you? Like, I know he's done a ton for you off the field and just been there for you to talk to. Is there like a piece of advice from an outfielding standpoint that he's been like, hey, man, you need to work on this. Let's do this?
Not too much. I've been focusing on shortstop for 5 years now, but when I did go out to the fall league, he just mentioned that, if you get close to that wall, just remember that you can always save your body, man. Don't get hurt. So he gave me some tips on that and gonna roll with the wall type deal. And sure enough, first play I got was right into the wall. So it was pretty funny. So I started laughing just thinking about it because he did tell me.
So I mentioned your dad. Your dad is a sommelier.
That's right.
So I assume you're a big wino, correct?
Huge. I'm getting into it.
Now you're speaking my language, man. I love wine. Now I'm not going to claim to know as much as you, or obviously your dad, but I love me some wine. What's your favorite? Are you a red guy?
Yeah, red's very good. I mean, for me to start, most starters, like beginners getting into wine, white's always easier because it's a little bit softer. So Mark Neal, the Neal Winery, the Pinot, that's a great one as well, red. So there's just, I can't pick just one. I think I love both, and I think it's just because of my father. So we're learning each and every day, and we're getting some wine classes in during the spring. So I'm very excited.
I love that. You know what I also love? So as I was preparing for this, I found your YouTube channel. Okay. And the very first thing you posted on YouTube is this like incredible, it looks like it'd be like a 5-star review, like TV show. It's so cool. Do you remember this video? It was probably a little while ago now, but it's like you going around like reviewing this like restaurant. I loved it. I was laughing my ass off throughout it. I thought it was great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I did. I thought it was great as well. I just wanted to help promote the winery out there in California, and just I had a nice meal in there. So at the same time, I got that in.
Is there any expansion on that? You know what I could envision is that becoming like a series. Like nobody would expect that. It's like Royce Lewis, the #1 pick in the draft, baseball player. Oh my God, he's got a YouTube. Let me go see what it is. And boom, it's you like evaluating wines, like evaluating restaurants. I think you could turn that into a series. That could be sick.
We're definitely going to turn it into something. I think we ran into some bumps here with the COVID and not having season, wondering when the season was going to happen, and then
Yeah.
me recently tearing my ACL. All those factors combined, it's kind of hard to, even walk around nowadays. So how am I going to video and get some footage in? But, my main focus was also to make it to the big leagues and how am I going to be a big leaguer first. And then we'll get to the cool, fun stuff off the field there in
Love
terms
that.
of the film.
I love that. So you were drafted in 2017 in a draft class with Hunter Green, Joe Adell, yourself. How do you think that is important for young black kids growing up, not having as much representation in the MLB, to be able to see this draft class and the stars that are upcoming, to be able to have black guys that they can look up to and say, you know what, like I can do it in this sport. Is that something you've thought about or something that means a lot to you?
In the recent years, it's started to come along to me. I haven't really thought about it. I've never, thought about black, white, never been indifferent on any kind of race. It's just me living my life and playing baseball and having fun doing it. And I think that, it's important, I think, to have all races get involved and to play the game that I love more. I'd love to spread the love. It's one of those things that I love it so much. It's like, how can I pass this on to this community, that community, that community? And the Players Alliance is a great organization that, hopefully soon I'll be a part of. I've been volunteering with them in the off season, passing out some food and some bats and balls and gloves to the community out there in Dallas. And so, that event was cool for me to be at, and one of those things where we're starting to move on in terms of that.
I love that, man. So I saw an interview. You recently said, and I quote, "My body is a beast." I want to know, what is the most beast thing that you've done? Whatever it may be, hit me.
Yeah, there's a few stories out there for sure. I think one of my grandparents' favorite is I used to want to run track and kind of play football, basketball, all of them, and baseball. But during baseball season, obviously you can't run track. So I was finished practice early. I was wearing jeans. I got changed, got my clothes on. I was wearing jeans, and I saw one of my friends out on the track, and so I went over there to say hi, what's up? And the coach was like, "Hey, you want to race him?" And I was like, "Yeah, like of course." So I was in jeans and took off my shoes. I just wore socks, and I raced this guy in the 100 yard dash. It was like 100-meter, whatever, and I beat him out. And he was supposed to be the fastest guy on the team. And they're like, "Hey, you want to do the 4x4?" And I said, "I can't. I got baseball." But, that was one of the stories, man. It's just something small, quick for you. But yeah, there's a lot of little things that people were just shocked by. I started walking after my surgery, and people were like, "Are you supposed to be walking right now after your ACL?" I was like, "I don't feel anything." So yeah, I guess.
So you're telling me in jeans? The best part of it is the socks, I think. You went out there in socks and beat the fastest guy on the team. That's incredible.
It's one of those things, man, just having fun.
So in 2019, you were invited to the Arizona Fall League. Take me through that experience a little bit. I know your 2019, your full season, I probably didn't go as planned, but I would assume the 2019 Fall League season, you won MVP of the league. Take me through that experience. Did you learn some stuff?
For sure, for sure. I really learned how to be a professional. Just going in and out every day to the field, making sure you get your routine in, being on time. Game days change, so sometimes they're 12, sometimes they're 7. How do you prepare for those? How do you eat right? How to get your body ready for the next day after games, whether it's a workout or prehab stuff in terms of getting in the contrast, hot and cold tubs. Laying upside down on one of those machines. I forget what they're called, like a teeter.
Those things are great. I love those things.
I love those. I love those. It's great on the back too. I love it. But yeah, I think I just really learned how to be professional, and obviously things went great out there stats wise. So That always helps, right? Puts you in a better frame of mind. But no, I had a lot of fun out there, and I love Arizona. It's a great place to play.
So 2019 was the year that they experimented with the automated strike zone out there. Did you thoughts? I mean, what'd you think?
I mean, for me, I saw positives and negatives. It was one of those things where it was a good test, I thought, to see what they had in the strike zone there. But there was definitely some calls that were curveballs bouncing in the dirt, hitters getting ready out of the box because it's a little bit of a delay before a call to strike. And so hitters getting out of the box, like, all right, perfect. I just took a good pitch there. I'm ready, right? And they strike him out, and he gets pissed off. And I'm on defense, and I'm shocked. I'm like, that was a strike. Like, I got to be ready for that when I go up to hit. Like, how am I going to hit that? And so there was some times where it was like, ooh, I don't know if I like this or not. But then there was times where you took that outside corner pitch and you knew that was the black. That was it right there. So there's pros and cons. It's one of those things. We'll see where it goes in the game.
See, that's kind of where I stand on it. I really do feel like we're working towards it. I think it's going to be part of baseball. But watching that fall league, it's obvious that it's not ready yet. It's not where it needs to be. I saw, like you said, I saw plenty of guys taking curveballs in the dirt and it getting called strike and looking at the umpire, and the umpire's like, it's not me. There's nothing I can do. Is it? So was the umpire calling strikes initially? Did they have any say in balls or strikes, or were they just waiting for that sound to say ball or strike?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it said like strike or ball in their earpiece or not, but they were calling strikes and balls whenever it did have a malfunction. So they did have to lock in. And I think sometimes they were purposely making it have a malfunction so that they would see if, hey, is he actually paying attention to the game? What's going on here? Because I did ask a couple times, hey, where do you have that? And he said, it's a strike. I couldn't tell you if it was 2 balls off. He said, in my opinion, too close to tape next time. And I was like, hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Because that's all he can give me is his opinion on, hey, next time that's too close to tape, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it was definitely tough to have that. That's the one thing you'll miss if you have the automated strike zone is the interaction you have with the umpire. It's like, hey, is that the corner you have today? And like, yes, sir, that's what I got. Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Like, that's usually what I ask, and that's about all I'll say, other than, hey, how's your day going? Hope we have a good one. Let's have fun today. But yeah, I miss those interactions with them. So it'll be kind of weird when they're just strike, ball.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
It also won't be there though, is asking an umpire, hey, is that the corner? And they'll say yes, and then the next pitch is a half a ball further than that, and it's a strike. And it's like, okay, like where's the corner then?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
All right, so speaking of that rule change, and there's some other rule changes coming to minor league baseball this year, just kind of experimenting with them. If you were commissioner for the day, and the goal was to grow Major League Baseball, to grow the sport for the fans, what is one unwritten rule that you would change?
Man, the unwritten rule, man. I think it's always uncomfortable when you have a big lead to kind of stop putting your foot on the gas. I think you should always play hard in this game. I do agree with don't run up the score just because you can, but there's also a way. Tatis swinging at a 3-0 fastball. By the way, it was a great 3-0 pitch. It wasn't right down the middle. He swung. It was a great swing. That might have been his best home run all year. As a fan, it's cool to see him do that. Understandable as the pitcher, it's like 3-0, bases loaded type deal. I understand that whole situation. I do, from both sides. But as a fan of baseball, I think it's cool to watch people do their thing and ball out. And so some of those rules, maybe Tatis is starting to change. I don't know if they're going that way, but that's maybe the unwritten rules I'd like to change.
Exactly, man. I totally agree with you. What about, is there anything with these new rules? What rule would you change that's currently in place? Is there anything you would change? Like not an unwritten rule, an actual rule. Is there anything?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the shift. I mean, obviously I'll do it and I know it works. So the analytics are all behind it for sure. The numbers are there, but I think it just takes away people's athleticism. I'm on board with kind of what Lindor's been saying recently on it, where it's like, I'm a shortstop. People come out here see me play the game
Yeah.
and do some cool plays, not necessarily stand in one spot, see the ground ball hit right at them, and then make a good throw. It's pretty much like you're a robot out there nowadays almost. But it's just the best way to stay around that and stay on your toes is just to be aggressive and ready and anticipate. That's the big word we use here in the Twins organization is anticipation. As long as you're anticipating, you're going to get those plays eventually.
It's kind of, you mentioned Lindor and what he said the other day, and that kind of changed my perspective a little bit on it. I was all for, I don't love the shift, but it's kind of like, if the scouting report says this guy's going to hit it there 90% of the time, why are you telling me where I can put my defenders? But then hearing Lindor say that, I started looking at it from a fan's perspective and a player perspective. And like, if I'm watching a game, I don't want Lindor standing in this spot and, okay, you need to cover this 10 feet now. I want him as shortstop and able to make those sick-ass plays that we know he's going to be able to make around the diamond. So what you just said, his quote, kind of changed my perspective on it a little bit. So I agree with you. I really do. So in 2020, you were at the alternate site coming off of a down and then up 2019 year almost. What is how was that year for you? I know 2020 for everybody was so strange, and with baseball you weren't able to play in a season, but you were at the alternate site. Were you able to learn or grow there? What happened there?
For sure. I learned and grew a lot. Anytime I'm on a baseball diamond, man, I feel like I'm always constantly learning and adjusting my game to just whatever level I'm at. And, it's one of those things where I have that mindset of how can I get better today, which has helped me through my injury now and has helped me through my whole life and to get to where I am. And so I think just being out there and being around those guys, I mean, we have great talent in our organization, man. I mean, you're talking Alex Kirilloff, Xander Wheel, Travis
Some
Blanco,
studs,
Trevor
man.
Larnach. A bunch of studs, man. A list goes on and on for sure. But all those studs, we're balling out, and it was fun to just kind of have a competition of like, hey, man, who's going to out hit us today? It's like one of those things. And I always wanted to go out there and prove that I was the best player that I could be on the field. And I took that quote from Donaldson a long time ago. He says, I don't care if I'm an MVP, but in my mind, I'm an MVP each and every day whenever I step on that field. It doesn't matter who I'm playing against. It could be Mike Trout, who was the MVP that year, or him, or another player, and he's just like, I'm the best player on the field, doesn't matter who. And I've taken that mindset to heart, man. It's just facts, and it's one of those things that's going to make you better.
So you mentioned an injury this year. This 2020 season was, I was pumped for you, man. I was expecting a huge year. I know you were yourself, and you tore your ACL in February. Take me through that. First off, how are you feeling right now?
Feeling good, man. It's pretty insane to think that I'm hurt. It's a little stiff. I don't have a ton of mobility yet, so I'm still on the crutches, but I feel great. I've been going through rehab. I walked 30 minutes on the treadmill underwater 2 days ago now, and I've been lifting upper body almost every other day. So, man,
you're gonna be jacked, my man. You're gonna come back jacked.
That's right, DK Metcalf, a little stacked up.
So I personally never experienced an ACL tear or anything like that, thankfully. So you take me through that day it happened. Like how bad? Like, did you hear a pop? What happened?
Yeah, that's the craziest part about it is from all the ACL tears that I've seen on the in Sports Center, MLB Network, here and there, hearing things. Just you hear something and you clearly know you did something wrong with your knee, whether it's an ACL, MCL, PCL, whatever. For me, I was doing some 5-10-5 drills, which is typically a football drill, but it's one of those things that was in my regimen to get ready for the season. I was feeling great, going through those in faster times than normal. And I went one direction, my knee went the other. And that's pretty much how it happened. And it went very, very far inward. And when I did that, I knew to stop the drill. So my workout was done, but I didn't know it was to the extent of an ACL tear. I just knew that I was like, oh, maybe that was just a hyperextension bone bruise. I went home, I drove home, iced it. Next day, I also did compression with the compression sleeves on the legs. The next day, woke up, swelling was almost completely gone. It was just very little, minimal swelling, and I thought, oh, perfect. This is normally what I do. I hyperextend. I'm very kind of Bambi-ish. I'm long and limber, but I always kind of fall sometimes like that. And so I was like, I'm good. I'll be fine. Um, and then we get to here out here in Florida now for spring. And the day before our physicals, I ran 2 miles, just jogging, and then I ran 6 sprints, and I did steel start sprints. And they told me like ACLs, you when you tear them, it's lateral movements you can't do. And I said, well, I need a second opinion because I just did lateral sprints yesterday. And they said, what? And they were like, yeah. And so, so they were like, okay, well, so we got the second opinion and everything, and it was a full, complete tear of the ACL. So obviously I needed to go get surgery. But the way that all this stuff happened, man, I had no idea. I was in complete shock. One of those things where just, that's why I say my body's a beast, because I had no idea. Clearly my body was just helping me out and overcoming that maybe adrenaline I had, but it was a week and a half, 2 week span that I was going through this. So I had no idea. It was crazy.
That is insane to me that you tore your ACL and were still able to do all that. You had no idea. You were still running sprints. You were still faster than 99.9% of everybody. You had no idea. And you got a second opinion. It's a torn ACL and you need surgery. It's like, oh my God, dude, your body is a beast.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of it, man. It's just fun. And now I'm at a point where it's like, I've always been there, but now I'm at an extremely high point of how can I stay healthy and be on the field so that that beast can be unleashed on the field.
Is there anybody in the organization that has experienced this and gone through this that you're leaning on?
Yeah, in the organization, Luis Arias, our second baseman, third baseman, shortstop, pretty much our utility guy right now. He's dominating, simply can rake. But, he went through the same process through the Twins and did the same stuff I'm doing. And he's come out so much better. So it's one of those things where I was able to lean on him, but also Kyle Lewis. I reached out to Kyle Lewis, who won the Rookie of the Year. And, man, he gave me a lot of tips and pros and cons and things that he would not do differently. And so it's been great, man. All these people helping me out. I really appreciate it.
So you reached out to Kyle. Did you know Kyle, or is it just kind of, all right, he was obviously Rookie of the Year for the Mariners, but did you know him prior, or is it like, all right, you did the same thing. Let me see if I can reach out to him.
Yeah, it was just as you said. I didn't know him prior. I just reached out through Instagram, actually, which, thankfully for social media, there is some pros to social media nowadays. I reached out to him and said, hey, man, I told him about my injury, what happened. I heard that he went through the same process, and I know that where he's at now, he's gotten a lot better and he's much more successful. And I wanted to know, how can I get to that point like him? And if he had time, reach back to me. I gave him my cell phone number, and he reached back to me that same night. So I really appreciated him. And, man, it's going to be one of my brothers for life now, man. Just can't wait to meet him in person and play against him one day.
That's sick, man. That's a really cool story. So what is 2021 gonna look like for you? Just day in, day out, just grinding at rehab? Are you staying in Fort Myers, or are you gonna stay down there?
Yeah, that's the plan going forward, is just stay in Fort Myers and continue my work out here and just work hard each and every day on my knee and rehab that guy, and continue to also hit and field and throw and do all the things necessary when that time comes. And so it's coming pretty soon, actually. I'll be able to do some seated tee drills and seated throws with the plyo balls and some baseball drills. It'll be fun. So it's going to be a very creative rehab process, but at the same time, as long as we can keep his knee safe and healthy for next spring, and hopefully get ready for the season to come there.
You mentioned just the seated drills, and it can seem like it's not much, but I just my brother's going through Tommy John surgery, and the other day was his first, he posted his first throw back. And I know he was so pumped up for it. He was talking to me the day before, like, I get to throw tomorrow. I get to throw. And it is so cool to me. Like, it's something so small, but something so cool that just shows you're back on the right track, man. And I get to start doing, slowly but surely, the thing I love to do. So I'm sure you can't wait for that first day, even if you're just sitting on a bucket swinging a baseball bat, man. I'm sure that's going to be so cool.
It will. I can't wait.
So we talked about 2021, what we can expect this year. Tell me about 2022. What can we expect from Royce Lewis in 2022?
Man, I mean, I tell you what I can expect is just a beast. Like I said, it's just going to be, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. Mentally, I'll be in a better state of mind. I'll be ultra positive, as if I wasn't positive before. It's not going to be even times 2 or 3 of that. Just knowing and not taking anything for granted, knowing that this game could be taken away from you like that, like it was for me this year. So just not taking things for granted, going out there balling out. And, my goal is to compete for that starting shortstop position in 2022. I mean, right now, Anderson Simmons our shortstop, but he's on a 1-year deal. And for me, looking at things, it looks like the spot is open for competition, and I'd love to compete and just have that opportunity because I think I can really, help the team out, and I'd love to be a piece of that team that gets the World Series soon.
Love that. And so before I let you go, we have these questions that we ask everybody. Some recurring questions I want to ask you, okay? What was your welcome to the major league moment? I know you haven't made your debut yet, but being around the big league guys, what was that moment like? Oh man, welcome to the big leagues moment.
I think watching Nelson Cruz was my welcome to the big leagues kind of moment.
That guy will make everybody look weak.
Yeah, that's my guy that I watch him hit BP and the balls are getting launched to places I'll never be able to hit the ball. Maybe if I hit a golf club, I don't know, a golf ball, but no, he just absolutely insane power. And I remember one game he said yeah, I'm gonna sit on the slider, but if he throws a fastball, I'm gonna hit it really far. And I was like, okay, yeah. And then he went up there and he said, this is the at bat. I think this is the at bat. Goes up there and hits a homer like nobody's business. Like it was just easy thing. And I'm like, that's a hard thing to do. Like this guy just hits a homer. I'm like, yeah, this is the big leagues. This is when it's the big leagues. These guys know what they're doing. They know how to control and handle their stuff. So it's pretty impressive.
Wait, so he said he's going to sit on the slider, but if he gets a fastball, he's going to hit it out. I guess that's why. How?
Yeah. His thinking on it, which I think I'm going to start really thinking about it. I think it's a really great idea is, if you're expecting the fastball, we can all hit fastballs. So when you get to the big leagues at that point, most of these guys can hit fastballs and hit it far. Doesn't matter if it's Jose Altuve, smallest guy in the league, or Aaron Judge, So fastballs are something that you just react and you hit the ball well. And he said that he has trouble with sliders, especially sliders away.
Yeah.
And so if he recognizes slider out of the hand, then he'll be able to take the pitches that are nasty or be able to hit the ones that are hanging earlier. And he said that the fastballs, you'll know if it's fastball, it's going to be looking different. So if you're looking for the slider, it's coming out like this. And all of a sudden there's something straight. You're just going to react. If it's in the zone, you're going to hit it because you played baseball he's 40 years old now. So he's played baseball for, I'm sure, almost 40 years, just as much as myself. It's one of those things where I think that terminology and way of thinking is it's almost outsmarting and kind of just yourself. You're outsmarting yourself in a way, and it's pretty impressive. It's deep.
It is deep. It's making me second guess my mindset my entire career. I wish I knew that. It makes so much sense. Yeah. I myself as well struggle with a slider away. That was my biggest struggle. It makes almost too much sense, but it is deep. And in your head, you're like, if I get a fastball, that's what I've known my whole life. I'm going to be able to react and turn on it. And, my reaction's going to be like that. But if I look slider away, in my head, I can pick it up earlier. I'm not sitting fastball because that's what I'm good with. I'm sitting slider because it's not what I'm good with, and I can react fastball. Wow. Comeback.
Yeah.
Comeback season.
Comeback season. That's right. I think everyone struggles with the slider away, for sure, definitely. And so it's one of those things where I'll have to try it out.
When did he tell you that? Have you had it? Was this after the fall league, or did you take that into the fall league?
This is 2020 spring training. We started talking more in depth. I really was digging deep into how do you hit? You're dominating right now. I don't know. I want to know how you hit. And so he just simply broke down kind of just some basics to approach. And he said not all, but if he faces Garrett Cole, I don't think he's sitting slider on 100.
Because you can't.
Or you can't. Yeah, it's certain guys that he's doing it with, especially a lot of lefties. I'll sit the changeup because that's this guy's best pitch, and then 92 is not that hard to react to,
Exactly.
especially when he's seen it. And so I was always wondering why, like, there's a guy, we had a spring training game, someone threw an eephus to him. I think it was Devin Smelter, was messing around, threw an eephus of a curveball. It was like 68 miles an hour. And he sat on it and crushed a double off the wall. And I was just like, what do we do? What do we got? How does this guy notice that pitch? Like, I wasn't ready for it. And so it's just pretty funny to see him hit and just dominate. And he makes it look so easy. It's just impressive.
All right, next question. What is your most memorable play on the field?
I have to go back to high school. There was a foul ball hit in foul territory right behind third base, down the third base line, in between that kind of triangle of short, third, and left. But it was foul, and our high school field was redoing our bullpen at the time. So if you went in there, it was a 2-base error. Even if you caught it, didn't matter. And so I remember getting over there in time, and the ball was still in the air, and I just looked at it, and I was like, how am I going to catch this without going into the bullpen? And so I just stuck out my right hand and caught it barehanded. And that's probably one of the coolest, by far, the coolest play I've made to this day at the moment. We'll see. There's hopefully a lot more cooler plays to be made, but at this moment, that's the best one.
Dude, you're 21. Many more to come. You're gonna top that someday. And it's gonna be in the big leagues. But that's sick. That's the old David Wright reaching out with the bare hand and making a grab.
Yep, that's right.
What is a moment that stands out to you with teammates that has happened off of the field? So not anything on the field, something with teammates off the field.
Yeah, we love to golf. So it's just the little competitions we have golfing. And I remember golfing with Kirilov, Larnick, one of our clubbies, Matt Tramp, who's become one of my bestest friends, and Travis Blankenhorn. Man, we had a great little group there where we go golf, and especially in 2020 during that season where we couldn't really do much else. So we either golf or we're at the baseball field or we're in our rooms playing video games. And we got really good at the video games, so we decided to go out to the golf course and have a good time, which we need to get good at that first before we start going again. But we have fun doing that.
That's awesome, man. Well, Royce, thank you so much for joining me, man. I'm so pumped to have you on. I'm so pumped for your comeback, dude. I'm really excited for you. I'm excited for your next season. Thank you so much for joining me, and I would love to have you back sometime. This has been a blast, man. Thank you.
Let's do it. I appreciate you having us on.
Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, and just talking ball, hit that subscribe button.